Hello everyone, today we're going to be talking about Elixir strings. What is the difference between the coatings, Opti, Poly, Nano, how will you choose them? So we're going to talk about electric guitar and acoustic guitar strings. Why not bass strings? Because bass players are too cheap to change their strings. So first up, let's talk about electric guitar strings. You have Optiweb, you have Nanoweb, you have Polyweb. Now what is the difference? Let's first up start with the amount of tension in each string. They're all the same. If you check the tension chart on the Elixir website, they all register the same amount of tension in terms of pounds. Now with the Polyweb, I feel that it seems to have the thickest amount of coating. It is the warmest out of all the three. So if you have a particularly bright tone and you want to kind of dampen that, you can try out the Polyweb. So it is the warmest sounding and it is the most slick. It feels really fast on the fingers. So if you want to slide around, it seems to be the smoothest one. Now if you go one up, if you go to Nanoweb, so what you have here is a slightly more brighter sounding string. It is still really fast in terms of the feel, but it's not as slick as the Polyweb. And it is slightly just a tad brighter. And if you go up to Optiweb, this and the Nanoweb, to me it sounds that they're pretty similar in terms of brightness, but with the Optiweb, it is the most natural feeling strings to me. So for those who are not familiar with coated strings and they tend to use the regular strings from other brand names, most of them when they hop to Polyweb and Nanoweb, they seem to feel a slight change in tension, even though they're all the same tension. But what I'm feeling here is that with the coating or the varying amounts of coating, when you start to bend or vibrate the string, you kind of feel a slight resistance. So with the Optiweb, it seems to be the most natural feeling one. It is the most familiar territory for those who don't use coated strings. And I personally use Optiweb because I was a user of regular strings for many years, and I felt that there was a bit of a slight resistance when I was bending and doing vibrators on the Nanoweb and the Polyweb. So I find that the Optiweb is optimal for doing what I do at least. But for those of them who are playing coated strings for years, they can be very used to both of these already. And again, if you want to choose between the three, if you want something that's a bit more warmer sounding, you got the Polyweb, really smooth. If you want something that feels really natural, you can take out the Optiweb, try out the Optiweb. And Nanoweb is something that's middle ground. Now if you move to acoustic guitar strings, you have three different kinds. You have only Poly and Nano for acoustic, but you also have 80-20 bronze and you have phosphor bronze. Now let's start with the Polyweb bronze. This again will be the warmer sounding tone compared to all the other two strings. So if your guitar feels a tad bright and you want to kind of dampen that with a warmer string, you can try out the Polywebs. So, and next if we move on to the Nanoweb 80-20 bronze. Now they're both 80-20, but in terms of tone, this will be slightly brighter compared to the Polyweb. In terms of the coating, this is very slick, and again, similar to electric, this is slightly less slick compared to the Polyweb. And next up is the Nanoweb phosphor bronze. Now, what is the main difference between phosphor bronze and bronze here? For a lack of a better way to explain it, I would say that bronze gives you a much more 2D sound and the phosphor bronze is more 3D. In other words, that if you're playing and something is very percussive and you need something that has immediate attack, the bronze seems to be the better way to go. So if you're playing more like bluegrass or country style stuff, I feel that the 80-20 bronze responds faster, it bounces back faster. With the phosphor bronze, it is slightly warmer compared to bronze. It is a much more bigger sound. I feel that it rings out a little bit more, so if you're strumming chords and you need the sustained notes more, the phosphor bronze comes in handy over there. So again, to recap, if you want the darker sounding strings, you can try out the Polyweb bronze. And between the phosphor bronze and bronze Polyweb, if you want a more immediate attack, you can try out the 80-20. If you want a bit more sustain, a bit more ring, you can try out the phosphor bronze. Now, one of the more important things here, there is a clear tension difference between all these three strings. So if you check out the tension chart on Elixir's website, you can see that the Polyweb 80-20 bronze has the least amount of tension, and then following that, the 80-20 bronze Nanoweb has more tension, and the phosphor bronze has the most amount of tension. So if you are someone who has been using polys for all the time, example, if you're using gauge 13 to 56, and you want to try out phosphor bronze, well, maybe you might want to try a different gauge on the phosphor bronze. So, for example, 12 to 53 or 12 to 56. So there you go, that was a brief explanation on the difference of each of the strings. Let us know which one is your favorite. Have you tried them before? What do you always use? Leave a comment down below, give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content, and see you real soon.